Hey everybody, I just wanted to do a quick sort of pre-game footage to give my thoughts and opinions before I go see Endgame, and I gotta do this really quick because we have to leave in, I don't have my glasses on, probably less than 15 minutes. Anywho, okay, so pre-thoughts. I fully expect for the narrative of Endgame to make sense. I expected the narrative to have a nice and comprehensive flow to it. I just overall, I generally have, I have a lot of confidence in the Russo brothers. Have I liked every single one of their decisions for the films that they have made? No, but I have enjoyed a vast majority of what they've done with the characters and just every movie that they've done. I for sure am expecting to see some just bombastic spectacle. I expect to be entertained, of course. I'm really glad that it's going to be apparently 3 hours long, because not that I have any idea of what all the stories that they have to combine and put into one film, but I'm fairly confident that trying to put it into 2 hours would just be, it would be a big disservice to the characters and the overall story. So I'm really happy and excited about that. Gosh, what else do I expect? I am for sure expecting there to be more deaths. After Infinity War and just knowing where a lot of these character storylines are going, and I would say, I can't think. Just overall, I'm expecting there to be deaths. I would say it would not surprise me if all of the original Avengers die. If only some of them die, then there are two that I feel pretty dang positive that are going to be sadly and unfortunately killed off. And my husband, he's in the other room, so hopefully he can't hear this. If he does, well, he should expect this. Maybe I'll mouth it. Okay, the first death, I'm pretty dang sure, and a huge reason why I think I'm confident that this is going to be a death is because of all places that I saw a spoiler was on Pinterest. Okay, so I'm confident that is going to die. So even though I'm expecting there to be deaths, I didn't want it confirmed before I saw the film. Small world problems, but there's that. And the other death I'm pretty confident is going to happen, but I will be very unhappy if it does, is okay. And I think in my actual review, or in a future video, I hope to explain this better of why I will be unhappy with Steve. Hopefully he didn't hear that. Why I will be unhappy if dies is because, I'm just gonna say it, Steve. His overarching storyline in the movies, I do not think that he has been given full justice. That he is not given, honestly, I think, the respect that he deserves. Boy has not been given enough happiness overall. I would say particularly on screen. Obviously there are time jumps in the movies, and so things are implied, but I don't want just the implication that he's had some good pockets of being okay. No, I want solid evidence. I want to see him, I don't know, going to ride a bike, whatever he does for fun, doing some more art. We haven't seen him do that since, I think, the first Avenger. And also, what's up with Bucky? Steve and Bucky, they mean so much to each other. They're They're life partners. Well, they're all sorts of partners, and I fully believe that they are also romantic partners, but in any case, those two have not been given enough time together and being happy and being content with their life. Mm. Mm. Hmm. I will be probably forever bitter about that. I'm just saying. And that's also why I'm involved with fandom and I love to read fan fiction because I know that a lot of people will give fan fiction a bad rap, but it can totally depend on what fandom you're reading in, and you just have to search out the amazing authors out there. But Blair, fan fiction helps fix what canon did not successfully do. But yeah, any final thoughts? Oh, I expect to cry. I am that person that if I watch a puppy commercial, dang it, the refrigerator. I thought I was gonna get it before it turned on. Hopefully that won't be too distracting. Anywho's, but yes, I will cry at a puppy commercial. I will cry at the drop of a hat. Apparently, like Chris Evans, he's explained that he is this way. I am just a bag full of emotions, all right? So I'm gonna bring just all of the Kleenex. Anything else I expect? I think what I've already stated is good enough. So, whew, I'm a little nervous, very excited, and before I sign off on this, and I'm prepared, outfit-wise, I am wearing my Avengers shirt and the original Avengers, and I have with me, I'm gonna probably hold him the entire time. I have this tiny, let's see, will he focus? Yes! I have this tiny little Steve. I think this is circa the Winter Soldier timeline era, but one of my favorite outfits for Steve. But yeah, Avengers shirt, little Steve to bring me comfort. Let's do this. First of all, if you didn't cry or get even just a little bit misty-eyed when you were watching Endgame, your heart is made of ice, and I think you need a big, very long and warm hug because ice, stone, something immovable to not be moved by what happened on screen. Oh my gosh. Hi, I cried. I very much cried, but I came prepared. I brought my Kleenex. Okay. It's the next day, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. Instead of giving myself time to mull over and marinate and just everything that I saw and give my time to really analyze this film, I'm pretty sure I will do that farther down the line. For now, I just wanted to do a hot take. So, a disclaimer, I suppose. These are all just my thoughts and opinions. If you agree with me, hey, I'm never going to argue about that. If you disagree with me, that is totally cool. I don't expect everyone to be on the same page with this because I think having different opinions, it makes things interesting. But what helps that is to be calm and friendly and civil about that. Yep. So, gosh, where to begin? Overall thoughts. For the most part, I really enjoyed Endgame. I believe I stated it, I know I stated it in my sort of pre-game clip that perhaps some of you sat through and watched. I expected the narrative to flow and make sense and for me to be able to follow along, and I was able to. And kudos once again to the Russo brothers for accomplishing that because it's still mind-boggling how many characters that they have to balance in this story and how much they had to balance in Infinity War, and it's
and how many they had to balance in Captain America Civil War, although now looking back, it's almost like, haha, that was like T-ball, and I think Infinity War and Endgame is like the major leagues of baseball. Perhaps that analogy works. We'll go with it. In any case, I did not think that the movie was too short, nor did I think it was too long. I think it was the perfect length. I never felt that I was checking out, that there were slow moments. I was always invested in the movie that was happening in front of me, and which I think any director would hope for. They would hope that you're not going to get bored with their movie, and I was not bored. And the spectacle, holy balls, I'm trying to decide, is it on par with Infinity War? Did they go above it? A part of me wants to say, perhaps they had a little bit more of just going all out with the visuals and, gosh, I feel like I need another synonym, but the spectacle was breathtaking. It left me in awe. Fantastic job for everyone who had a role in pulling that off. Everyone behind the scenes. Just, my God, give yourself several rounds of applause. Please, please. And at the moment, the biggest spectacle that's at the forefront of my mind is the very end battle scene. That was Chef Kissy Fingers. For sure, one of my favorite moments in that end battle was all of essentially the allies and the good guys coming through those portals. Yeah. It left me speechless. And I was just like internally like, yeah, yes. The crowd that we had was pretty silent throughout the whole movie. That there were some laughs when that was appropriate. But there were definitely moments like the one I just described. I really wanted to clap it out. I don't think it would have been inappropriate, but nobody else was doing it, and I didn't feel brave enough at the time to clap, because that was a clapping moment. But any hoozles, for sure, that battle sequence, and again, massive props to the Russo brothers and everyone who had to coordinate the battle sequence, because at least right now, from what I remember, I felt like I could follow along where the characters were and just overall what was happening, because I know I've seen movies in the past where there have been big battle sequences, but you're just like, or even sometimes smaller fight scenes, and you're still just, what is happening? So to be on this scale and for your audience to be able to follow along, at least I did, huge kudos to that. Some of my favorite points, some of my favorite moments in that battle scene, not just the entrance, and also actually, on that entrance, and Steve saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I've only seen this once, I saw it yesterday, but I'm pretty freaking sure that Steve says, Avengers, assemble. Yes! Yes! Oh, I'm pumped! I'm trying to not yell at you, okay? I'm trying to keep some level of calm, but it's understandable. Although, my gosh, I can feel my face just, I'm getting fired up everywhere. Loved that moment. Other moments that I loved in the battle was the sort of girl power, if you will, the woman power. So in Infinity War, that happened when Wanda was knocked down by Proxima Midnight, I believe is that character's name, and Proxima says something about you'll die alone, but then wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, here comes Okoye and Natasha, and I believe it was Natasha that delivered the line, she's not alone. And they had that same moment with just more characters in Endgame, and I'm a little muddled on who, I think it was Carol. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was Carol who might have just been knocked down or was ready to power through Thanos. And it was, I believe it was Hope, Pepper, Wanda, Okoye, and there might have been maybe a fifth, but for sure those four ladies came in, and I believe it was Okoye who got to deliver the line, "She's not alone," and then all of them giving what they can at Thanos. I'm pretty sure that's how that scene went down. In any case, loved that. Another moment. Actually, this is rewinding a little bit. So just before all Avengers, and that's just flipping cool. I loved that, like, all of the allies are now Avengers, because heck yeah, they are. Before they showed up, it's when it was just Thor, Tony, and Steve fighting Thanos, and Steve gets Mjolnir. Is it Mjolnir? Mjolnir? Maybe we can all just take a page from Darcy's book and just call it Mew Mew. It's cute and a little bit easier to say. Mjolnir. I think it's Mjolnir. Any hoozles. Steve calling Mjolnir to him. I'm leaning towards that I loved that. I haven't fully processed all of this. Perhaps later on I might have slightly different feelings towards it, but right now, as I stand, or sit, as I metaphorically stand, loved it. Heck yeah, Steve is worthy. Frankly, in my heart of hearts, again, because he's my favorite. He's my favorite MCU character. I think he has always been worthy. But that was still just a wonderful, powerful moment. And I really enjoyed that small sliver of comedic moment Thor throwing out when it was the battle sequence. And I think Steve had called, oh gosh, is it Stormbreaker? Yeah, Stormbreaker. And Thor had Mjolnir, and then he switched. Like, Thor said that, no, you get the small one. That was a nice little moment. There's just so many things I want to say, folks. Okay, let's set aside the battle for now and hit some other points of what I really enjoyed about the movie. The characters having to go back in time and retrieve the Infinity Stones, I really enjoyed all of that. I'm pretty sure there were several characters from different, we'll call it like storylines, that were within the MCU had already died. So just revisiting past characters, whether they had already died in the MCU or not, I think that was really well done. I was not expecting that because, well, there was a lot that I was not expecting, which is wonderful because before going to see Endgame, I did my darnest to avoid any and every spoiler. I might have said this in my pregame, but the only thing I had seen before Endgame was the first trailer that ever came out, and I watched one non-spoiler review from two of my favorite critics, Dan Merle and Roth Cornett. They're from Screen Junkies. Definitely check that out. They were super vague in their review, which, I mean, it's what they needed to do in a non-spoiler review, and they did a great job. They were able to portray, we loved it. Woohoo! My point is, I tried to go in with as much of a blank slate as I could, and I'm really, really glad that I did. For sure, for Endgame, I think that is the most enjoyable way to experience this event. Let's get back on track, shall we? Okay, several of the Avengers going back in time. 3 that stick out for me that I particularly enjoyed was 1, Tony. I very much enjoyed him connecting, or I suppose reconnecting with his father, Howard. I thought that was very sweetly done. And very clearly it was Howard who gave Tony that push and that inspiration to step up and to be the hero, because Tony he got his family. He had Pepper and he had his daughter, and he didn't want to give that up. But I do think a huge thanks to just being able to talk with his dad. It was his dad that made Tony see and realize that, yeah, he doesn't want to give them up, but Tony has the ability and the heart, honestly, to undo the terrible things that Thanos did. That Tony can step up to the plate, I think, is probably the simplest way to put it. Tony has the ability to step up to the plate, and talking to his dad solidified that, yes, I want to do this, I can do this, and I want to do this for my family as well. Because, I mean, obviously Pepper, she still has the memory of what happened. His daughter, I'm sure, is well aware of how the world used to be, and he wants to restore that for his daughter, for her to grow up in a better world. And that was just beautiful. The other storyline that I really enjoyed, I would say, kind of boiling it down to a particular moment in the storyline, was Steve fighting with his past self. One of my favorite lines was Steve, circa 2012, saying, "I could do this all day." And present Steve kind of flapping his hands, saying, "Yeah, I know." That was such a funny moment, and I loved it. I don't know. Gosh, just well done. Yeah. Sorry, I spat a little bit. I'm so excited. Excuse me. Just well done. Loved that moment. And also, I liked the bit that they were building up to, which was once present time Steve had knocked out past Steve, and he was laying in such a way that his very firm tushy was on display. And before Steve walks away, he says, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the quote was, "That really is America's ass." Oh my god! I loved it! I'm so glad. Oh, calm myself. I'm so glad that this thing was put into the movie, because I'm sure Chris Evans and probably all the other cast members are well aware of the audience reaction as well of Chris Evans' hindquarters. And yep, thank you. Whether that was fan service or partially fan service, we thank you. We salute you. Ooh, yep. Okay. So the other moment that I really loved was Thor getting to talk to and reconnect and sort of have that ending with Thor's mother, Frigga, that he did not get way back when in Thor the Dark World. They never got, as far as I remember, they didn't get a closure. So here Thor was able to get closure with his mom, and I loved it. Frigga, and this makes me want to rewatch Thor the Dark World. I haven't watched that in quite a while, but I do remember that I really loved her character. She is just so, yeah, she's so wise. She's so poised. I'm having a hard time right now putting into words just how wonderful and well-rounded that particular character is. And I was definitely sad to see her go in Thor the Dark World. So, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful moment. I'm so glad that happened. And I guess, I don't even know how old Frigga is, to be honest, but I think she says something about that she was raised by witches or alongside witches or something like that. So essentially, all of this information that Thor was explaining to her, she wasn't fazed by it, and I can't put my tongue on it. I can't put it to words, but I love that. That was great. Let's continue on, shall we? Again, I'm probably gonna miss some things, but this is a hot take. But I think we should definitely jump into specific characters. And in no particular order, let's go with Natasha. What's up? I cried. Whew! I cried. But I think for her, it made sense. Her death, it made sense. She earned that. I feel the entire time that she's been in the MCU, she's just been working to atone for her history. I get the sense that no matter how long Natasha would have lived, she would have been in this state of mind where I have to do as much good and right to erase the red in my ledger.
I got red in my ledger. I'd like to wipe it out.
I'm not sure if she would have ever stopped. I hope this is making sense. In short, she earned this. And it broke my heart, but it made sense. Her and Clint fighting over who is going to sacrifice themselves to get the Soul Stone. And oh man. And Clint saying that what I've done, essentially in the 5 years that Thanos snapped his fingers, is, I don't know how I come back from that. I don't know if I'm worth or worthy of continuing on. And Natasha saying, you gave me that same chance. So let me do this. Oh shoot, I'm getting emotional right now, folks. Oh jeez. I'm fine. Brr. Natasha wanted to give Clint that second chance. Oh shoot, that Clint gave her. She wanted him to, like, you have a family that you have the chance to go back to. I want you to take that. Oh, okay. Yep. That was well earned. I'm getting misty-eyed thinking about this. Other things that I really enjoyed about Natasha in Endgame is we definitely saw all of the Avengers in their own way broken. So it was just, gosh, it feels kind of mean to say it was fascinating, but it was interesting to see how that manifested for each character. Something for sure was Natasha, she was definitely not as poised and as confident as we're used to. I want to say multiple times we saw her just kind of like slumped in a chair, her feet are up on a table. Yep, can't put it into words. That was just something to see. And I wonder how many of you caught in, it was earlier in the movie it was a scene where Steve and Natasha were talking and there were point shoes on a chair. So I'm wondering, it just makes me curious if Natasha still goes back to ballet to kind of recenter herself, if she uses ballet as an outlet to maybe almost like meditation for her. I enjoyed that detail, is what I'm saying with that. I'm sure there's a lot more to say about her, but continuing on with some of the characters. Scott. I always love Scott in the Ant-Man movies, in Captain America Civil War. He is just such a fun and is the word grounding overused? Well, he's such a grounding presence to the rest of the amazing people that he's surrounded by. He always hits the comedic stuff. I don't know. It's just always so spot on, and he can definitely do dramatic when he needs to do dramatic. So, gosh, it's kind of short and sweet, but I really enjoyed Scott in this. Rhodey. I always enjoy Rhodey. Watching Endgame really made me want to rewatch Iron Man 2 and 3, which I have not watched in a while, just to go back and enjoy more Rhodey. He's just a guy and a person to really look up to. Because he's been in the armed forces for much of his adult life, he's very pragmatic. He can see the bigger picture of things, which I appreciate, very much like Steve. But tied in with all of that, he's got such a big heart. Popping in to quickly let you all know that I had to do a kind of drastic color change or color gradient to the next 21 minutes of the video because my camera was acting up while filming and the original color was horrible. Hope it's not too distracting. Thank you for your patience. Now back to the show. So I had to pause this to start another clip. I think I was just at the part of saying that Rhodey, he has a big heart. And he's also, honestly, what character isn't great in their own right of comedic timing and comedic moments and just having a sense of humor? And Rhodey definitely has that. A couple of my favorite moments with him was, I can't remember, was it once or twice? Once for sure, when he is with Nebula and they get the Power Stone from Peter Quill. He knocks out Peter. And then he says something along the lines of, so he's an idiot. And Nebula is just like, yeah. Good moment right there. Hurrah, yes to more Rhodey. Moving on to, I think I can tie this in with Nebula and Gamora. I really enjoyed both of their stories. Nebula, I don't even know how to put it into words because I still have not thought all of this through completely. Nope, I think I'm just gonna have to keep it as simple as that. I really enjoyed Nebula, and I definitely enjoyed Karen Gillan, is the actress who plays Nebula. I enjoyed seeing present time Nebula and past Nebula going against each other. And then for me, it for sure made sense when Gamora came into the picture and she was just willing to go along with and believe present time Nebula, especially because it was at that point anyway, 2014, so that was when the first Guardians came out. Words. Gamora was already questioning at that time what her dad Thanos was doing. So it makes sense to me, and gosh, I hope it made sense to everyone that she was willing to hop on board with what present time Nebula wanted to do. And just being able to see them connect again, seeing them fighting beside each other, seeing them being sisters, and frankly just Gamora being alive. That was wonderful. I love that. Clint, I really enjoyed his story in Endgame. I've enjoyed him throughout the MCU, which I don't think Clint gets enough love out there. I think there's a lot of audience out there that see Clint, he's human. As far as I'm understand in the MCU, Clint is human. And because of that he's not superhuman, then what's the point of him? He's not as cool, he doesn't have particular powers. But yeah, he might be human, but he's still doing all of these badass stuff just being human. And he has such a precise and high level skill set that he's able to help in these big things. And he's also smart. I think people don't give him enough credit for that. He's also just a very smart guy. So, just give Clint a little more love.
If there's any tampering, sir, it wasn't at this end.
At this end.
Yeah, the cube is a doorway to the other end of space, right? The door's open from both sides.
And I was definitely at the very front. They open, Endgame opens with Clint and his family. Hey, I got teary-eyed at that. I didn't cry. I was holding it back a little bit. Got misty-eyed there, but I was definitely moved. Yeah. Anywho's. So I enjoyed Clint in this. I enjoyed his arc of him, his path of being broken, but being able to come back from that. And Natasha really pushing him and believing in Clint, saying, you can come back from this. You deserve a second chance. So I enjoyed how Clint was used. That sounds weird. I just enjoyed him in this. Bruce. So I haven't fully solidified my thoughts on Bruce, on Endgame in general, but I'm leaning towards I like that Bruce and Hulk have reached this middle ground, and they've just finally found this equilibrium for them. I liked that. I enjoyed it. I appreciated it. And I do think, right now, I think that makes sense. So, well, yeah, that's also short, sweet, and to the point. Perhaps, again, in a future video, I might have more to say on him, but hot take, that's what I have for now. Moving right along, Thanos? Okay, I understand that he's a Titan. He's the Mad Titan. And Titans in general are very strong. Thanos proved that in Infinity War. But I felt that somehow in Endgame, he was, at least to a degree, he was stronger than he was in Infinity War. Because at some point, he has Carol coming down on him. He has Wanda coming down on him. He has, fudgeroo. Thor. I understand that Thor, he's not like physically and mentally and emotionally in like peak physical condition, but Thor is a god. So he has all of that coming down on him, Thanos. And yes, he's getting like getting beat down, but his resistance, his resilience is still kind of up there. So as you can perhaps tell, that's not quite sitting right with me. It's not quite making sense to me. Clearly I need to rewatch this movie, but so that's just that little nugget for all of you. And Thanos in general, boy, you delusional. Just his plan, clearly both plans were never going to work. Wiping out half of all creatures and living things in the universe, that didn't work. That didn't settle well. And then his turn, and he's like, all right, well, I'm just going to wipe out everything, and I'll start a clean slate. No, that's not going to work. I need more time to think about it, but I can solidly say, my purple grape, your plans were just never going to work. I'm glad you're done. Yep. Yep. Cool. Let's move on to Thor, shall we? Okay. As I already stated, every single Avenger was broken in their own way. Thor was rough. He was rough. And it makes sense. Because if you think about it, timeline-wise, Thor Ragnarok, happens. He saves the Asgardians as much as he was able to. He saved a great many Asgardians from Hela. Cool. And then he has that for seemingly a very brief amount of time. And then many more Asgardians are killed when Thanos, comes onto the ship. And also, while we're on that ship, and of course this takes place in Infinity War, so on that ship, he loses his brother Loki, and Loki was trying to save Thor. And he loses Heimdall. Heimdall? I'm pretty sure it's Heimdall. Also a friend, I think friend and companion to Thor. Ugh. And then after that, very, very, very quickly after that, Infinity War happens, the rest of Infinity War happens, the snap happens, and I'm pretty sure in that snap, Thor loses more of his people and friends in general from the Avengers, and just I've probably other people that he's just met along the way in his life. So yeah, Thor would be in a bad way of things. So that definitely made sense. When I was talking to my friend Chris, gosh, so many Chris's out there. Chris felt that Thor was a tiny bit too jokey. And I'm like, I think you're right. You are right. And so essentially, I think they should have kind of dialed that back just a little bit. And, okay. Again, this is just my opinion. This is how I view things. If you don't read it this way, it's totally cool. It's totally cool. I kind of felt that there were moments in Endgame where Thor felt more like I was watching Chris Hemsworth than I was Thor. I really enjoy Thor Ragnarok. I definitely think that Thor as a character just needed to loosen up a little bit. And I think Taika Waititi did a wonderful job of that. Obviously with the partnership with Chris Hemsworth. But I think Taika, he did a great balance of loosening up Thor. And then I felt that Thor in Infinity War, he still felt like Thor. He felt like he had drawn what he had developed from Ragnarok, and he brought that into Infinity War. I felt like the Russo brothers had done a good job of balancing out who Thor now is. English. In Infinity War. But I don't know, for some reason, it just felt like perhaps the Russo brothers let Chris just kind of do his own thing more often. For me, just a little too often. Kind of minor thing. It's just what I felt. But overall, still super enjoyed Thor. My voice cracked there. Anywho's. So okay. Steve. I am mixed on Steve in Endgame. For the most part, yes. Just yes to Steve Rogers. Yep, let's just dive into what I had some issues with, some mixed feelings. What's up? Again, if you enjoyed all of this, I'm not taking that away from you. I want to be clear on that. This is just how I feel. Okay. Where to begin? The ending, essentially, for Steve. For me, as best as I can recall, in the MCU, Steve had come to terms with the fact that him and Peggy, that is in the past, it was a missed opportunity. He will always feel a sense of sadness, for sure, of that, but he had accepted that. Cool. And then in Endgame, I hope you all can follow along with me. Just bear with me. In Endgame, Steve says that the Avengers, they're a family. It's his family. And part of that family, once he gets them back, is Sam and Bucky. Those are his friends and family. Got that. And then it was established in the MCU through Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and Captain America, Civil War, that Steve is with Sharon. Don't hate, people. Don't hate. Okay. Just being real honest right now. I was never on board with Steve and Sharon. I hope y'all can recognize that romance in general is not the strong suit for Marvel. I understand that Sharon and Steve were a thing in the comics, but if you can't make that work in the movie, drop it. They didn't drop it, so I liked Sharon as a character. I just wasn't on board with her and Steve. That was not built up properly or well. I also didn't really think that the actors had chemistry. Again, that's just me. So yeah, in the MCU, Steve is supposed to be with Sharon, and although it wasn't clear if Sharon was turned to dust by the snap, in any case, very clearly, the Avengers are working towards bringing everyone back. So even if she was gone, there was a chance that she would come back, and they never said in any movie beyond Captain America: Civil War that Steve and Sharon were no longer together. So supposedly they are. You with me on this? Supposedly Steve and Sharon are together. And then let's add, it's like a layered cake or something. Let's add on to this, well, not really a cake because cakes are delicious and this is things I didn't agree with. So just a layer in general. Adding on to this layer, it was established that when the Avengers go back in time, yes, you get the stones, but we are going to put the stones back so, as the Sorcerer Supreme and Bruce stated, as long as the stones are put back, things will be in order. Don't mess with anything else. Steve very clearly messes with anything else by going back to Peggy. Also, I for sure want to state, I freaking love Peggy Carter. Ugh, she's my lady. She is, just yes to Peggy. I really enjoyed Peggy Carter, the show, and I was definitely disappointed that was canceled. I love me some Peggy. As a recap, I'm sorry I'm dragging this out, but it's a frustration for me. Steve had accepted that he didn't have a chance with Peggy. I understand that with the stones and being able to go travel through time, that, this is an opportunity. But he had accepted it. Gosh darn it. You're not supposed to mess with the past. Supposedly he's with Sharon. Yeah. Why also would Steve want to leave his current and present family? Why would he want to leave Sam and Bucky? Bucky. How about, Bucky. In the MCU, it's established that Steve and Bucky, they're tight. I mean, of course I see them in a romantic light, but I was super fine with them overall, them not being led in that direction. But frustration. I wanted more time, more screen time for the love of all that's holy. With Steve and Bucky, I mean, in Endgame, hardly anything. When they were on that big battlefield, Steve got significant looks, from what I remember, for sure, with T'Challa, and possibly one or two other characters, but did he get a significant look with Bucky? No. It's a minor thing, but to me, that it's so important because it's established in the MCU that Steve and Bucky, they're everything to each other. And then, at the very end of Endgame, on screen, we barely get anything with them. And frankly, the same thing happened in Infinity War. Barely anything. It's like, gosh. So my friend Chris, that I was kind of talking and yelling at, said that in the fandom area that they participate in, that there are definitely fans out there that view that the Russos, I would say particularly after Winter Soldier came out, the Russos became aware that a lot of audience members, paired together Steve and Bucky romantically. And that after that fact, it was like the Russos' mission to not let that happen and to almost kind of separate Steve and Bucky and just make sure that these are just like, slap each other on the shoulders kind of bros, and we're stoic with each other. That's a fan theory, but now knowing how other people view that, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Because again, in Infinity War in particular, and in Endgame, barely anything with Steve and Bucky. It was just very good to see you, buddy. So, on the Steve and Bucky front, yeah, I'll probably be bitter forever with that. The Peggy story didn't really make sense for me. Also, Steve has super serum in him, so I don't think he would have aged that much or like that. So that didn't quite make sense. And while I loved Steve passing off the shield and the title of Captain America to Sam, Sam deserves that. Oh, flippin' love Sam, y'all. He's another favorite. That was well deserved. But Steve didn't need to be aged, and I guess near death, to be able to pass that off. My husband did very briefly try and say, well, like, the Avengers, like, they're ending it, so they've got to make sure that Steve doesn't have a way to come back. And I'm like, but sweetie honey buns, Hawkeye, Clint, he's still alive. Bruce is still alive. Thor is still alive. He's still a god. He passed off his crown to Valkyrie. Also, loved that too. And that was fine. So it would be fine if Steve was just, normal, young Steve, and to pass it off to Sam. He doesn't need to be old to do that. So, yep, I just wish Steve could have lived out the rest of his life with Sam, with Bucky, and the rest of the Avengers. That's probably what I'm going to be a little bitter about. And for no particular reason, I had kind of meant to end on Steve, but Tony. I need to talk more about Tony, and that's sort of an upper? Not quite. I don't know what it is, but let's... Oh, I cried. Again. I cried so much. And I was legitimately having to, in my head, tell myself, deep breaths in and slow breaths out, because I was on the edge of blubbering. And as much as possible, I was just trying to keep myself together. Whoa. Okay. So, I mean, earlier on, I talked about, I definitely loved Tony and his moment with his dad. Tony's arc in the MCU. I don't think I could have asked for a better ending for him. Well deserved. It makes sense. Holy it hit me, man. Yes, Tony, what character has not had flaws? Tony definitely has his flaws, but this, I can't hit home enough. For me, I think this was just so well deserved for Tony, for Iron Man. Yes. And I mean, I cried, and I would say two moments that was really me trying to contain myself was his interaction with Peter Parker. Those two, Robert and Tom, playing off each other, and also their little mini reunion. Oh, my heart. And then Peter, oh shoot, getting misty-eyed right now, folks. I'm fine. Peter saying goodbye to Tony. Beautifully done. Pepper saying goodbye to Tony. Oh, shoot. I'm fine. It's fine. So beautifully done. Her saying, you can rest now. Oh, no. Oh, golly. Somebody cut an onion in here. In the bedroom. First of all, kitchen. That's for a designated kitchen. Oh. It's fine. Yep. And on that note, honestly, too, is the acting from everyone in Endgame. Well done. Flippin' well done. I don't have an issue with anyone. I guess with Thor, that was me seeing like, you kind of seem like Chris, and then you seem like Thor, but I don't know. Still, overall, well freaking done, everyone. And whether you had a speaking part or not. Yeah, well done, everyone. Oh my word. Carol. It's a brief thing, but Carol, considering we just had Captain America, Steve. He's on my mind. Considering Captain Marvel just recently came out because they had to set her up so she would make sense in Endgame, I felt like she would have just a slightly bigger presence in Endgame. I understand that the main focus was on mostly the original Avengers. And there's just, in any case, a lot of characters to deal with. Still, yeah, just that. I thought there'd be a little bit more of Carol. I liked what we had of her. A little bit more would have been really cool. Yes. Oh gosh, asking myself now, is that all I have? Probably not. But this has gone on long enough. My gosh, if you have sat through all of this, whoa, thank you so much. And give yourself a round of applause. Seriously. I enjoyed Endgame. I highly recommend seeing it in theaters. Speaking of, normally, as I mentioned in my Captain Marvel review, it usually takes me until the third or fourth week that a big blockbuster is out. But considering the enormity of Endgame, I was just to my husband, we should see this sooner. And we did. So that was wonderful. Did I have a point there? No, just I'm glad that we got to see it much sooner. And now, how do I wrap this up? Because this is the MCU wrapping up so many storylines, which mostly I think they did fantastic. If I keep talking right now, as I clearly am, I'm probably just I'm going to continue to find little nuggets of like, oh, I didn't touch this, I didn't touch this. So, thank you again for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day or night whenever you're watching this. I will see you in my next video, and yeah. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye. Get the Jubilees out. Batman, that's the wrong comics. Anywho's.